Asuka Langley Soryu is a fictional character from the Japanese anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion, created by Hideaki Anno. She first appeared in the 1995 anime television series and quickly became one of the most iconic and complex characters in anime history. Asuka is one of the series' main protagonists and is portrayed as the pilot of the Evangelion Unit 02, a biomechanical giant robot used to combat monstrous beings known as angels. Asuka is introduced as a brash, confident, and often abrasive young girl, but beneath her tough exterior lies a complicated emotional landscape. She was born in Germany to a German mother and a Japanese father. Her mother, a researcher in the field of artificial evolution, was deeply involved in the mysterious events surrounding the creation of the Evangelions. However, her mother's mental health deteriorated as a result of the intense pressures of her work, and after an unfortunate incident, Asuka was left in a state of emotional trauma. Her mother's eventual death has a profound effect on Asuka's psyche, contributing to her sometimes erratic behavior and emotional volatility. Asuka is introduced as the second child, chosen to pilot an EVA due to her genetic compatibility with the Evangelion units. She arrives in Japan to join the fight against the Angels, meeting Shinji Ikari, the protagonist, and Rei Ayanami, the mysterious first child. Her introduction is marked by a mix of cockiness, competitiveness, and a deep desire to prove herself as the best EVA pilot. Her fierce desire to be recognized and to assert her value is driven by a fear of abandonment and a desperate need for validation. Throughout Neon Genesis Evangelion, Asuka's character is a study in contradictions. She is confident yet insecure, independent yet deeply lonely. Her strong-willed nature often leads to clashes with the other characters, particularly Shinji, with whom she forms a complicated relationship. Asuka often mocks and belittles Shinji, yet she also seeks connection and approval from him. Her struggles with intimacy and emotional expression make her one of the most compelling characters in the series. As the story progresses, Asuka's emotional instability becomes more apparent. She faces a significant breakdown after the traumatic events of the battle with the angel, Zirul. Her sense of self-worth is shattered, and she begins to spiral into a state of deep depression. This breakdown culminates in a pivotal moment in the series, where Asuka is unable to pilot her EVA and is left to confront her own emotional vulnerabilities. This represents one of the darkest and most poignant moments in the show, showcasing the fragility of her mental state. Asuka's story is also explored further in the end of Evangelion, the film that serves as an alternate ending to the original TV series. In this conclusion, Asuka's character undergoes even more intense emotional and psychological challenges, reflecting her complex relationship with herself and others. She is confronted with her own feelings of inadequacy and isolation, and her final moments in the series leave a lasting impact on audiences. Asuka's character is often seen as a symbol of the human struggle to reconcile one's inner desires, fears, and emotions with the harsh realities of the world. Her journey is one of self-doubt, growth, and ultimately, the search for meaning in a world that can often feel overwhelming and isolating. She remains one of the most memorable and talked-about characters in the Evangelion universe, known for her multifaceted personality, emotional depth, and her tragic yet resilient nature. Asuka's influence on pop culture and the Evangelion franchise remains immense. Over the years, she has been analyzed and interpreted in various ways by fans, critics, and academics alike. Her character is often seen as an embodiment of the struggles that many young people face in terms of identity, self-worth, and emotional complexity. Asuka's intense emotional journey speaks to the pressures of living up to societal expectations and the inner conflicts that arise from trying to reconcile personal desires with external demands. Her internal battle reflects themes of trauma, loss, and the longing for connection, which are central to Neon Genesis Evangelion as a whole. In the rebuild of Evangelion film series, a retelling and reimagining of the original Neon Genesis Evangelion story, Asuka returns in a more refined form, but retains many of the core characteristics that define her. She continues to be a key character within this alternate continuity, facing new challenges and deepening the narrative surrounding her. The Rebuild series offers further exploration into her relationship with Shinji and Rei, while also providing a more optimistic look at the possibility of healing and moving forward. Though Asuka's character is still deeply tied to themes of pain and personal growth, Asuka's iconic status also extends into other media, with her presence felt in manga adaptations, video games, novels, and even various references in other anime and popular culture. Her fiery personality, red plugsuit, and memorable lines have made her a standout character in the Evangelion universe, and she has been consistently ranked as one of the most popular and enduring anime characters. Beyond her role as a pilot, Asuka's relationships with those around her further add to her complexity. Her rivalry with Rei and Nami, who embodies a more passive, enigmatic nature, is a source of much tension and growth for both characters. While Asuka's relationship with Shinji is volatile and often marked by emotional turbulence, it is also one of the key emotional arcs in the series. Asuka is both drawn to and repelled by Shinji, with their interactions often reflecting a deeper longing for understanding and connection. Her bond with her mother, and the tragic loss she experienced at a young age, remains one of the defining moments in her life, shaping how she interacts with others and how she perceives herself. In addition to her psychological depth, Asuka's character is often marked by a complex mixture of strength and vulnerability. On the surface, she appears as an unwavering force, unafraid to assert herself and challenge those around her. Yet beneath this outward confidence lies a deep well of insecurity and pain. Her need to protect herself from the harshness of the world and her struggle to open up emotionally are central themes in her story. This juxtaposition between her bravado and her vulnerability is part of what makes her such a compelling and multifaceted character. Ultimately, Asuka's journey is one of self-acceptance, though it is marked by a tumultuous path of emotional exploration and personal loss. Her character serves as a reminder that strength does not always come in the form of invulnerability, but in the ability to face one's inner demons and accept one's imperfections. Through her evolution over the course of the series, Asuka encapsulates the complex interplay between trauma, personal growth, and the search for emotional fulfillment. Asuka's enduring legacy as a character is also tied to how she represents the broader themes of Neon Genesis Evangelion, particularly those of alienation, self-worth, and the emotional weight of human relationships. Throughout the series, Asuka constantly struggles with the need to prove herself, especially when faced with the overwhelming pressure of being an EVA pilot. This need for validation often manifests in her fiery demeanor and her antagonistic relationships with others, particularly Shinji, who serves as both a source of frustration and a figure with whom she longs to connect. In a world where humanity's survival depends on their ability to pilot the EVAs, Asuka's insistence on being the best pilot reflects her deeper desire to find meaning and worth in a world that often seems indifferent to individual lives. Her relationship with Shinji is one of the most poignant and complex elements of the series. While they frequently clash due to their differing personalities, Shinji being reserved and self-deprecating, and Asuka being brash and confrontational, it is clear that both share similar feelings of isolation and emotional turmoil. Asuka's abrasive behavior often masks her deep insecurities, particularly in terms of her own value and place in the world. Despite her outward arrogance, she yearns for recognition and affection, both of which she struggles to receive. Her interactions with Shinji reflect the difficulty of navigating complex emotions and the unspoken vulnerability that both characters harbor. In the end of Evangelion, Asuka's psychological collapse is an intense moment that shows how deeply her trauma and emotional wounds run. The scene in which she is unable to pilot her EVA and is faced with the rawness of her emotional state is one of the most harrowing moments of the film. This breakdown is symbolic of her internal struggle to come to terms with her own limitations, as well as her fear of being abandoned and forgotten. Her fragile emotional state is compounded by the loss of control over her own life and circumstances. In this moment, the wall she has built around herself crumbles, and her vulnerability is laid bare, offering viewers a tragic yet profound exploration of the human condition. Asuka's character arc ultimately mirrors the themes of Evangelion as a whole, which explores the tension between the desire for individuality and the need for connection with others. Her journey is an exploration of the tension between wanting to assert one's independence and acknowledging the deep need for support, love, and understanding from others. Asuka's difficulties in relating to others and her struggle with her own emotions reflect the broader existential themes of the series, where characters face the challenge of coming to terms with their own psychological and emotional burdens. Through all of her complexities, Asuka remains one of the most interesting and multifaceted characters in anime. Her struggles with her identity, her need for validation, and her journey through trauma and recovery make her a deeply human character, even in the context of the extraordinary events surrounding the EVA units and the Angels. Her arc represents the painful yet ultimately redemptive process of coming to terms with oneself, recognizing the inherent value in one's existence, and learning how to accept the help of others, even when it feels difficult or impossible. Despite the tragedies that define her life, Asuka is ultimately a character who exemplifies resilience. She may never fully overcome the deep emotional wounds she carries, but she continually faces them, even when it seems like the weight of her pain might be too much to bear. Asuka's character remains a testament to the complexities of the human experience and serves as a powerful symbol of the emotional and psychological struggles that many face in their own lives. Through Asuka, Neon Genesis Evangelion explores the vulnerability behind even the most hardened exteriors, emphasizing that emotional healing is a journey, not a destination. This aspect of Asuka's character resonates with many fans, who continue to find meaning in her story long after the series' conclusion. Asuka remains not just a pilot in a giant robot, but a representation of human resilience, emotional depth, and the enduring quest for connection in an often confusing and hostile world.